do anything necessary for ranking without any type of border or limit or rule principle. Just rank and make money.
Micro section of the main page, and then if it starts to pick up queries and you're seeing in the questions, you can always then move it out.
Google categorized the websites and they put a kind of limit to the ranking.
You can copy someone's content and send links through to it, and they end up putting you as being the original source, even though you wasn't the original source.
I am using certain type of GPTs to summarize, and I was taking traffic from Malaysia, literally. So Google doesn't have always time to check everything.
Open up the new page, and as you got more page rank, then you can merge them together. Hi everyone, so today I'm joined with my business partner Karl Hudson and a very close friend, Koray, who is known as being the Semantic SEO king, but we all know the true Semantic SEO king is obviously myself. So pleased to meet you. Koray, can you do me a favour? Can you just stand up a minute and just show everyone your pants that you just showed me?
No, I don't.
I thought it was a dress. I didn't think it was pants.
No. It's definitely... It's
The Turkish attire is not for me, I'll be honest with you.
This is Christmas time, and this was a gift from my wife, so that's why I'm just wearing it.
Anyway, Karl, let's dive straight in. You've got the questions, so if you want to fire up.
So these questions are obviously everything that's been asked in the different cohort groups and also from the Chiang Mai. So we'll just start from the top and work our way through. Koray, get ready because there's about 455 questions.
We will be quick, I promise. I will keep the answers short and direct.
We've heard this one before, haven't we, Dooley? Hours later. Okay, so the first one, it's more just, can you sum up, obviously this is based off your Chiang Mai presentation, can you just sum up what we should do in a very simplistic way?
Just for the topical authority or overall holistic SEO?
I think holistic SEO, yeah.
So I usually say it in one sentence. I do anything necessary for just ranking purposes. You can include even hacking other hosting or just doing videos or CTR manipulation. I don't have any limit for ranking purposes. But if you ask me in terms of business, I have an agency, I have a course, I have a community, and I have some partners in different type of industries. Even for later, for instance, I'm going in electrostatic powder paint as a B2B industry by creating a website for that. I'm also going in directly to the casino. So from business point of view, I'm, let's say, diversifying it, being a partner. From SEO point of view, I do anything necessary for ranking without any type of border or limit or rule principle. Just rank and make money.
So I'll just throw in a question in between the questions just to make it even more fun. So the question there was about in a simplistic way, and you spoke about there like CTR, and obviously you talk a lot about semantic content networks and topical authority. Going into 2025, if you could only look, you needed to kind of focus on majority of your time, are you mainly focusing your time on, like, where is it technical SEO? Is it content? Is it links? Is it engagement?
Let me answer like this. In my opinion, there are 6 fundamental components of ranking. I'm not talking about SEO only, just ranking overall. One is topicality. The other one is popularity. The third one is slightly different, but let's say canonicalization. The fourth one is consolidation. I can explain the consolidation slightly later. And the fifth one, in this case, of course, the page rank. And the sixth one is engagement metrics. So in this case, whatever I do with semantics, technical SEO, or local SEO, or barnacle or parasite, however you call it, basically, I'm trying to just configure these 6 components with each other. In Chiang Mai SEO speech 2, I explained, if you just merge, let's say, topicality and page rank, you actually get topic-sensitive page rank. If you merge topicality together with popularity, then you get now boost, for instance. So Google also actually creates these multiple metrics together. And again, if you merge popularity with page rank, this time you get rank merge. What they do is basically just creating sub-components for these 6, and they combine with each other, and then they create new configuration methodologies. So from my point of view for 2025, because of the AI, the popularity will be huge importance, but not just direct popularity. You will need to again combine it with page rank or topicality. And under topicality, there are some sub-components like, let's say, responsiveness, for instance, or unique information, and I won't go that deep. But basically, popularity will be more important. If you are popular enough with user engagement metrics, Google will adjust their algorithm for ranking you mainly, because they will think that actually this website is performing well, and they will try to adjust metrics based on that. We also call this complex adaptive system. There is a complex system that adapts the current user behaviors. And in this case, if you're able to blend some fake user engagement with the real ones, it will be helpful. We also see this in Google API leak, Google DOG leak, and again, Pandunayak says that they are keeping the records for 13 months for every click. And also it explains why the HCU update hit websites are not coming back that closely, because they wait 11 months, which means only 2 months of data just left out for evaluating them.
Yeah.
Basically, clicks are one of the fundamental rankings factor there, along with user engagement. One important thing is Pandunayak also says that if you don't have any clicks, and he directly states that if you get 300 documents, most of them don't have any clicks or impressions, then they focus on topicality. They rank you, they test you. If you perform well, they start to test you more for further core updates or re-rankings.
Yeah, just one follow on from that then. You mentioned obviously the 6 pillars of ranking. You mentioned popularity and then you mentioned engagement. What's the difference between engagement and popularity?
So if you look at the Google's own spam policy page, you will see a very good point there. None of the SEOs mention it. I am surprised with that, to be honest. They call it function abuse. Usually and lately, we focused on, let's say, site reputation abuse. But how about the function abuse? Google directly states in their official documents, not the leaked ones, they say that if a document is not performing its function or misleading the function, they understand it and they directly try to actually demote its rankings. The second point in my Chiang Mai SEO speech, I also stated that Google categorized the websites and they put a kind of limit to the rankings, which means that maybe there will be only one spot for affiliate and they choose a cluster representation like Forbes and they rank it. In my topical authority methodology, when I call actual source context, this is what I mean. You have a layout, you have a function, and you have a certain type of engagement. Again, in my methodology and framework, when I say predictive information retrieval, which means they don't check everything, they check some pinpoints and they guess what type of page is that. Let's say you have a converter. If you don't have any input area in your HTML structure, they will skip your website. If you are a calculator and if you don't have any type of math related section there, or again, any kinds of conversion type of, let's say, layout, again, you'll be losing rankings in that specific point of view.
So this is why a lot of affiliates are like starting to try and add in e-commerce elements and things like this to try and get them outside of that template of affiliates.
The thing is that the first thing they do is clustering the sites. So when you look at the ranking, again, not SEO. I don't care about SEO anymore, just ranking, okay? This is search engine ranking, not search engine optimization. I care about ranking. So in this case, if you look at the search engine ranking point of view, there are two types of competition. One is cluster to cluster. The second one is inside the cluster. So affiliate sources compete with e-commerce, then e-commerce also compete inside as well. Usually you will see that these clusters are replacing each other, and also inside the cluster, these two are replacing each other too. If you are in the wrong cluster, you will lose anyway. That's why in my system, I always tell that look where the search engine is going and try to change your source context along with your topical map just for that, because source context is about how you make money. I call actually what you say is producting, or I don't know the English word, but maybe you can fix me. Productinization, like making an affiliate site like a product. Like usually I have some components there like scholarship, a newsletter, login and register system. And I try to imitate product grids directly with a filter system. And I directly try to hide actually affiliate links from the search engine point of view. And I imitate like I'm actually a kind of e-commerce site by opening models and performing, let's say, take a code, for instance, don't go there, but give us a code we can communicate type of things. And usually I try to do this like very B2B industries, like solar panels, or let's say 3D printing or machinery. It works there really well. But if you are in the, let's say, the camera industry, probably Google will know that which producer already exists and which place is e-commerce, which place is not.
I've got one more, and I promise you, Karl, I'm gonna let you get back.
Here until midnight, okay.
You mentioned there twice, I'm not bothered about search engine optimization. I just care about search engine ranking. For anyone who's watching this, what is the difference between search engine optimization and search engine ranking?
The one of them is more direct to the, let's say, the result, because the search engine ranking was the original name of search engine optimization, actually. And later, this Google Search Relation team, the enemy, they tried to actually make it like, what was that? Search experience optimization. Fuck that. It's not about that. I just want to rank, take click, and turn the click into money. So I'm trying to just, you know that I'm trying to focus on business more and more every year. So
Yeah.
ranking is my purpose, and I don't put any limitation on that based on, again, these relationships, team, stupid rules. So basically, the main difference there is being more business focused. I wouldn't do something just because search engine would be happier. I don't care about this company, or I don't care about what these Google parrots or Google sheeps are thinking or feeling about. I just want to rank and make money. If I can use exact match domain, I will do that. If I can hack a website, I will again do that. So I don't care, basically.
All right, go on, Karl. I'll let you.
I'll ask the next one. We'll stick to the list.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously we're coming into 2025. It might be 2025 now when this has been published. We could get it out just before then. What are some key SEO factors that you see are like low-hanging fruits, which can be overlooked by SEO agencies?
First of all, SEO agencies provide SEO consultation service. I suggest everyone to take it in that context. They wouldn't be able to do something perfect for you, to be honest, because most agency clients pay like 2K, 5K, even 10K is not good enough today. A single employee salary is already like 6K. So you can just get a direction from them and consultation service. But from, let's say, other point of view, I believe entitization, because most of the websites are just websites. They don't define themselves a real world entity. I have seen a situation that, this is again in casino, some of the, let's say, some websites, they just actually change Wikipedia by imitating themselves like official website of a very big, large corporation. And once Google actually believes that, yes, this website is an attribute of, let's say, Apple, and the website starts to rank very much higher, because Google thinks that website belongs to a very highly authoritative, reputable entity. And they usually just do this by replacing the content in the Wikipedia for especially, let's say, Southeast Asia type of casino industry locations like Indonesia, Thailand, other areas. It also shows that your entity has some built-in reputation. If you're able to be mentioned in, let's say, more sources in certain level of way or in a certain direction, you will be able to actually get a kind of reputation there, and you will be able to also outrank your competitors. I usually call this in a way, let's say, non-visible page rank, because it's not links. It's about definition or consensus, basically. If consensus directly states that you are more quality, you are more authoritative, and if there are a really good amount of sentiment and popularity signals around you, Google starts to pick it up, that specific official site, and they start to rank it higher as well. When I look at the dentists, or when I look at the e-commerce stores, or SaaS especially as well, they are still not an entity yet. And I would suggest everyone to turn your site into an entity, especially on Amazon. If you're an e-commerce and if you want to rank your Amazon listings higher, if you can turn your product into an entity, and if you get a product panel on Google, it also affects your rankings inside the Amazon as well. That's why right now some agencies just focus on Wikipedia page creation, actually. If you can't create in English, go for Spanish, go for Dutch. Very easy to create these pages in these versions. Google still picks it up. Another one is multilingual. I say this in Chiang Mai SEO speech too. You might not sell to Indonesia, but I said popularity. You can get popularity from Indonesia. You can increase popularity signals in another country with your informational content. You can get cheap links from Indonesia. With hreflang, you can reflect it for your US market as well. This way, you can just flow the cheap page rank, flow the popularity to your actual main market as well. Because good for Google, you will be also more important too. And it is basically free. You can just open, let's say, you can turn yourself an entity in an easy and very cheap way. You can also translate your website and start getting more popular than cheap page rank. I believe these two even will be good enough.
On that, so I'm just going to, obviously we've got a list of questions now. Remember seeing one about languages, and you've just mentioned the language, so I figure we'll just skip into this one. Let's say someone has a website and it's in English, and they want to add 6 languages, but they're a little bit afraid that they might damage their English rankings. What would you say is the safest option for them, either to create more top-level domains, so they've got separate domains of the different languages, or would you say a subfolder, subdomain? How would you suggest they go ahead with that?
In my actually one of my case studies, I explained this already. For example, when you look at Australia and New Zealand, there should be one website with counter top-level domain. It should be a separate domain. And if you should be having one domain for these two countries, if the time zone is very close to each other, these users will be clustered together. Even if you use duplicate content for Canada, you will keep ranking really well there as well. And again, I suggest you use a .ca. For Oscar Wilde, already we do that. And for always, New Zealand is canonicalized to the Australia. And for Canada, even if you use exact duplicate content, we have no problem there too. Another thing is I usually use asymmetrical translation, which means if a topic is not searched on that language, I don't translate or I don't localize that one. I translate according to the popularity. This way you actually won't be bloating your website. Plus, basically you are actually a multi-domain website. There are multiple different counter-top level domain sites, but they are actually all same. Google is able to understand them like the same website.
With that, are you then defining the different domains within the language tags?
Yep, in that specific region, in that specific language. For example, the population and popularity is important for Brazil, for Indonesia, for India, for, again, Spanish, not just Spain, but overall Spanish. And also some other, of course, Japan. And for China, you need a SIM card for Baidu mainly. So it's a different story. But again, for Southeast Asia too, you usually need a separate domain. For some areas in Europe, you can actually go for, let's say, overall domain. For example, co-UK can also rank for some others. But most of the time, your most important industry and region should be in your .com. But others can be just localized, and you don't have to translate everything. You can translate according to the local popularity. And try to understand these time zone difference issues as well. Because if you open new domain for every country, then you might not create some cannibalization issues between them, as in Australia and New Zealand situation.
Awesome. And then, well, next question then, you've answered that perfectly there, I think, for that person. Do expired domains from the same niche still work for faster success? I assume by expired domains and setting up a site on an expired domain, essentially.
I couldn't understand exactly. Using expired domains work or not?
Yes,
This is the question.
pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, of course they are working. I mean, in casino, 100% they are working. I can give the name even, you can check it. The HondaClassic.com. It was a car website right now, last time when I checked. Because these websites are being redirected very closely, but you can always check these redirection trees, to be honest. Another one is, maybe I shouldn't tell that one, is still working in a very too black. Let's skip that part, but check that website. You can get some hints there. Expired domains are working, and I always keep everything honest and transparent. In the stage I said, I created a case with Velzo.com, and Velzo, we redirected expired domains there, but in a different way. Not everything to the homepage. We also moved the content, and we did URL to URL redirection. Then we refreshed the content in these URLs as well. And I already published a health SEO case study in Velzo as well. You can check it too. So expired domains are definitely working. Sometimes even you don't have to match the topicality. There was one case, it was pure black hat. One time, 525 expired domains are redirected to a single place. It worked really well. And I mean, it's just about exceeding the thresholds. That's why, and also search engine can't prevent it, guys. You should understand that. We have limited resources. I mean, until they understand you are doing something bad, you will already be making so much money. You can buy another 100 expired domains and go again. So it's safe.
Awesome. Well, there's the next question's from Steve Toff. And he's been hounding us to actually get the answer to this. And I was like, I'll do it when I'm on the podcast. So in the talk in Chiang Mai, you mentioned indexing tiers. Now he says, is there any tricks to tell what level of indexing tier the website's in?
I'm glad that actually he focused on that question and topic, because in my opinion, in Chiang Mai SEO speech, it was, to be honest, in my opinion, it was, you know that actually I'm doing a different speech in every conference and bind them to each other as a lecture in my course. And in Chiang Mai, they didn't give me extra minutes. That's why I was like a light tunnel. And indexing tier was one of the most important details there. So most of the time, what I do there is indexing delay. I suggest everyone to write this simple Python script, go to ChatGPT and use my prompt directly. I want you to take the last mode from the sitemap file, and I want you to take the crawl time from this log file and check the time difference between them to show me when the Google bot comes after my publication or after my change. If you change something in your URL, if you publish something new and Google doesn't come under 1 hour, it means that they don't care about it that much. The second thing is check your HTML crawl rate. And if they crawl 40 times a day, every HTML page, or more than 40 basically, again, it means that you are not indexing tier 1. The third one is, so basically the first one is indexation or crawl delay. The second one is crawl ratio, especially for HTML, but not CSS, JS, HTML files especially. The third one is your actual feature snippet numbers or percentage. If you have 0 feature snippet, you are definitely not in that tier, I can tell. If you are not directly, also another user agent, Google Other. Check the Google Other user agent in your log files. I said in this Chiang Mai SEO speech too. If they use it, you should be indexing tier 1 because they care about your site and they use it for research and development. And another one is if you are being tested for new SERP features, or if you have more SERP features that you have compared to your competitors, you again should be in the indexing tier 1 as well. There are more, of course, that actually we can list in that area, like if they index every image, not only the representative image, but every image. For image indexation, go to the Google Images section, use SRC, and then colon, search operator. For example, for HTML, we use site, search operator. For images, we use SRC in the images vertical. If they don't index most of your images, it means they don't care about it again, I can tell. And you can use basically these type of tricks to see these angles. But basically, if you are indexing tier 1, they will be tolerating for you, even if you do something wrong. Even if sometimes people tell that my competitor is doing lots of shitty things, but they still rank because they're in the indexing tier 1 for a while. And with a core update, it can change. But if they are being tolerated, again, you are in indexing tier 1, I can tell. And they use different data centers, different algorithms. Even in Pandunayak says, they use PageRank only for the top 25 results, not for the rest, because they think that it is expensive. If you are in the top 25, you will be getting that. And that's why in Chiang Mai SEO speech, I suggested people something I call natural relevance, which means your brand name with your entity definition. If you have a relevance, you will directly rank in the top 25, and you will be getting all these important algorithms to run on your site. Other way, you will be waiting for a long time with historical data piling up, they test and they evaluate. But if you directly rank in top 25, you'll be getting PageRank and other type of algorithms to run on you. That's the point. If you're in the next tier 1, they run everything on you, and they are being served faster and more, and they're being crawled way much more as well.
So just a little follow-up question on that, if you're trying to get up in the tiers, would you say, like, for instance, focus maybe on trying to capture more featured snippets, and then the more featured snippets you get, it has a higher chance of increasing you in the tier and things like
It's
this?
true. I have a concept for defining what I was saying, but name is bad. If you can suggest a better name, I'm open that my English is not my native language. I usually call it something like ranking budget, but it's not a logical name, I know. But what I will be telling will make sense to many SEOs who try to hunt featured snippets. Sometimes, if you have the best possible content, Google won't give you the featured snippet, even if you try it. Or if you will get it, but you won't be getting more than X, they will keep you like limited until a point. That's your actual budget or your, let's say, limit or corridor, however you call it. I don't care. Basically, there is a invisible layer that holds you back there. So that's the, again, about that indexing tier situation too, because against Forbes, until a point you can get it, but again, they will give other type of rankings to the Forbes. In one patent, they call this link value proposition. Basically what they see here, the link is the ranking. So when they give you a blue link, clickable link on the search engine result page, they try to understand what type of value you are giving. And if they take you out from here, they give you another spot. So it's like a kind of like, I don't know, let's say it's a very tight bus and you are trying to sit. It's that type of situation when you just push someone, that person push someone else. And it happens with the websites too. So you can try to get these featured snippets, but probably if you don't have that much featured snippets already, you won't be getting them that much as well until a core update is happening.
Okay.
That sounds a little bit like knowing people say you've got like crawl budget. It's almost like having rank budget. Like you can only get so much.
It's like a SERP coverage budget. I mean, because they have to diversify it and they can't give everything to the one website, or they can't allow a website to get more because it's so open to exploit. Imagine that in just 3 weeks, I'm getting lots of featured snippets, and I redirect my website to do, let's say, a Viagra site. Because Google always has to take these type of precautions. Even right now, for example, if you get a very popular expired domain, don't redirect, just open a casino site there. I don't know what type of psychology Americans have, but they come for a recipe, then they start playing slots. It happens. I mean, you just put the slots to the homepage. They come for recipes, but they start pressing the slot games, and they want to actually just invest into the money as well. So even if you don't redirect, these type of manipulations can happen. That's why they have to just allow you to increase your rankings, checked and step, not like these continuously. So they will allow you to get a certain amount, but not everything. I can tell that's why they will hold you back when you are trying to harder. But if you have more, let's say, historical data that validates you, and historical data means clicks, scroll, or any type of engagement in a positive way, then actually, yes, you will be increasing your, let's say, SERP coverage or ranking budget, however you call it.
Is there on the tiers that you spoke about there, because you said that was an important part of your talk, and Stitoff kind of pulled it out as being, and Stitoff's going to look at this and he's going to be trying to create a notebook on SEO notebook. I can tell you now. Is there like a tier 2, a tier 3, a tier 4? Is there a set how many tiers that there is or not?
Google says 3.
3 tiers.
Google says that. Prabhakar Raghavan also says that. And Danny Sullivan also stated it in Search After Record podcast one time. And usually this is also something from like Matt Kass era and Amit Singhal. During that time, they had like 2 index. One is main index, the other one was supplementary index. But this was a different dynamic. It's like they serve one index, then the other one is just supplemented if this user keeps searching. Right now in the indexing tiers, basically it is about just prioritizing the most important sites with the most important algorithms, and the rest is just like getting mature or more mature in that area. But they know and they say that it's 3.
Right, okay.
So the next question is about someone who feels like he's tried everything. Is there any little hidden gems that you would suggest he tries?
I mean, not like hidden that much, but usually I published a case study called Ranking Signal Transition. I usually suggest redirect. Just change your domain with step by step, but my redirects are slightly different. I usually add first chronicalization, then crypto redirect, then I move content. I publish new content in the new domain. I rank both of them for a while, then I do the migration. It's a little bit multi-step and multi-layer migration, but if nothing works, most probably your source type, again, your layout, your engagement metrics, or your engagement type monetization model is wrong from search engine point of view. And secondly, most probably your website already has been filtered down. So it means that if you just try this, for instance, one time, and I can tell the website name. It's a very old project that I left, athleticinsights.com. It was an expired domain that has been used as a Shopify store, WooCommerce store, and many other things. We couldn't rank that expired in 2 core updates. In the third one, it jumped to the 3,000 clicks a day. But until that specific moment, we basically just tried everything. It didn't work, besides just waiting. And I also tried this while it wasn't ranking. I copied all the content, added everything to a new domain. It was ranking better than the original source. So sometimes that domain is just filtered down. But as I say, with a core update, it is also fixed too. You just don't know which core update they will be actually giving you that specific result. So try to do a kind of redirection or change your domain. Same content, try to copy your content to a brand new domain, check whether it ranks better or not. If it ranks better, your domain should be filtered down. And also try to check your, a bit, let's say, brand search demand. As I always say, if nobody searches for you on the web, you are expendable for Google because you don't matter that much to anyone. So that's one of the fundamental business model problems there, probably.
The next question is, have you ever personally recovered any sites impacted by the HCU update?
Impact, okay. Yes, I did. And some of them actually recovered partially in August 15. The ones that are not actually affected from August 15, they are being affected from the November core update. For this December one, still is going on. I didn't see that much effect. These 2 updates, but until these 2 updates, what I could do is only creating new subfolders, and these new subfolders were able to increase impressions and slightly the clicks. But the rest of the website, I mean, the subfolder is increasing, but the rest of the website keeps going down all the time. Again, for the Google DOG leak files and API leak 2, they say that subfolders have a page rank pattern, and they are usually having less effect from previous algorithmic demotions. But until we get the August core update, it keeps dropping overall, even if I am able to slow down or naturalize the drop with the new subfolders. But with the August 15, they started to see recovery. Until that point, it was just like trying to hold on and keep the website live, or redirections. With redirections, yeah, we saw recoveries, but it was like, again, multi-layered, like hiding all the identity and your fingerprints, basically.
On that one there, right? You speak quite a lot about like positive ranking states and negative ranking states. From what you're saying there, can a website be in a negative ranking state, but within a subfolder, you can have that in a positive ranking state on the same site? Yeah.
I also did the same for crafthosters.com too. Basically, I created a subfolder, and that subfolder was about blog guides. For that one, we kept increasing the rankings. Then I changed the links in the homepage. Most of the links were going to the new subfolder. Then I replicated a subfolder for other brands with the same structure. Then I redirected all URLs to the new version, basically. And from there, Google actually lost its previous track and gives you a new assignment, a new consideration. If you use new subfolders with proper structure by leaving the old version behind, and you should turn internal redirects, internal links to do these versions especially. You take the attention of search engine to a new section that didn't exist before with high quality content. That starts to change the machine learning's assignments for your site. So a subfolder can get a positive ranking state, and overall later you can reflect it back to the site as well. That's the purpose there.
So would you recommend, because a lot of these affiliate sites from obviously we've looked at thousands of sites that have been hit on affiliate sites, and maybe 50% of them have got like a physical silo. So like, let's say like /SEO / whatever else, / PPC / whatever else. But there's probably another 50% that have got like everything directly off the root domain. So whatever the root domain is, and then just like blog post or article. Would you start, if you're in a negative ranking state or you've been hit, because a lot of people in the SEO industry say, don't ever change your silo structure because you're resetting the quality score. But if you're saying the quality score's not good because it's been hit, by then maybe moving it into a physical silo, URL structure, that's a good thing to do.
If you open a new one, it won't have the disadvantage of the previous state. So you are trying to use that, let's say, new version and new state to rank higher and reflect it back. I would suggest doing that. But the main problem with the affiliate today is the engagement style. Because there is something that Google usually calls click models, click predictions, or click satisfaction. And if they see that if I am searching for, let's say, buy X product, and if the affiliates make my clicks longer, in this case, if they just make the process longer without a necessity, Google just will remove that middleman from that area. That's why affiliate has a business model problem from Google's point of view today, because of also AI bloat. Because creating an affiliate site today is like very easy. Anyone can do it like in maybe 30 minutes.
So you mentioned previously, about brand search, saying it can be expendable if you don't have brand search. Is there anything you're doing to try to, not say manipulate it, but trying to genuinely improve your brand search? Like obviously you can do like social media and stuff like that, but what tricks and tips have you got to try and improve brand search?
So on that part, again, there are a few things that I do. Sometimes I open a scholarship and I post these into the university forums, and I try to keep it honest by saying, owner, just give some money to the students because these are students. And then opening job postings again, because whenever you open a job posting or scholarship or different type of campaigns that you actually provide some advantages, people genuinely search for you. And also using Facebook groups, Telegram groups, with these type of announcements, it also make them search for you. Another one is using the search URL from Google in a newsletter. When they click, they directly go to the search section of the Google, and they also engage on that site or on that URL too. If they click to your URL also, it is helpful as well. And in some, again, black hat industries, people also send, of course, fake traffic out of two reasons. Sometimes, for example, they search something like this. Let's say, I will use F word because this is a negative SEO example. They say, fuck you, site colon, then the site name, and they search like millions of times. Usually they try to decrease the domain CTR and try to just associate that website with some bad type of queries as well. But most of the time, Google is able to, let's say 90% of the time, they are able to understand which one is the genuine and which one is not. So that's why I'm trying to use actually these type of scholarships, job postings, or newsletters, or certain type of, let's say, genuine campaigns, like giving $5 back for every review that they write, for instance. Or again, some YouTube partnerships, again, with discounts. If you search for some influencers, if they do video about you, it actually provides constant search volume for your brand, because some of the YouTube influencers, their videos are being searched and watched for the next 2 years. Whenever they search for you, they just actually search for your name through the YouTube, and again, they come to your site for that, let's say, advantage discount code or a course something. Another one is this too, for affiliate sources usually, especially for, let's say, Forex, crypto, or some others. I actually suggest people to also create a newsletter for these price changes, and create also a course and consultation booking. If you change these components in your site, it's not an affiliate anymore. It's a consultation service. It's a course website now with the thanks to the structured data as well. And you also form a community under the affiliate source as well. So when you have that specific community engagement around you with these discount codes, they also keep coming too. So based on the model, I try to do these type of things. The last one is paid ads. If you use some paid ads, and if the ads are justifying their own cost, it will also provide constant flow and constant search for you through the time.
That's something that we mention all the time, isn't it, Dooley? You should try and use paid ads, because we've seen it just helps with rankings. It gets that user signals quite quick. And if you can make it work from profitability, then why not run it?
Yeah. One thing you said on there with regards to the brand search, if someone was manipulating brand search and it wasn't getting the clicks, they just manipulated the search volume, but it wasn't getting clicks, can that have a negative impact on the website?
Out of two reasons, Google would also be cautious on that. If it has too much negative effect, I will do it for everyone. So in this case, if I can't rank myself higher, I will decrease their ranking. So in this case, they have to be very cautious on these type of metrics and engagements. That's why actually when you search for fuck your site column, the site name, It doesn't work directly, but it just actually, if you look at the search console, you will see all these messages from your competitor. But basically, they just register these impressions, like genuine impressions, in Search Console. But Search Console team is located in Israel, and it's a different team than Search Quality and Search Ranking teams. They call it Rank Lab. So in this case, I still can tell that with minor effect, it will affect. But if you are like a huge brand, as long as you're not able to, let's say, create like 20% of bad queries for your competitor, it wouldn't work that much. But if
Yeah.
you're a very small brand, then it might affect as well. One time I was launching a website, I got links from Malaysia, and all the links were about actually soap operas from Malaysia. And I started rank for soap operas, but the website was actually about like something different, very different, like electronic devices or something. And I was taking traffic from Malaysia, literally. So Google doesn't have always time to check everything, and sometimes they just believe in.
Yeah.
So the next question is, in the Chiang Mai conference, you mentioned bigger font size equates to more relevance. So if you were to add a H1 in, but it's in a smaller font size than the other headings, is that then less valuable?
The thing is that the concept of heading has a different definition in Google's algorithm. They can take your heading structure from your HTML markup, or they can take it from your visual hierarchy as well. If your visual hierarchy is not aligning with your code structure, it means that they will need to interpret your headings by themselves. So in this case, we don't exactly know what they will see as a heading on a page, but sometimes they publish some researches under the Google's blog, and one of them was just about this, because it was about turning a web page into a video. And today we have SaaS like that, but in 2021, they published a model for this. And there, they were only checking actually big fonts, not even your HTML markup, because they believe that if they take that big font text, it just gives the meaning to the video as well. So it also shows that actually they focus on these things based on that. John Mueller, even if I don't believe most of the things that he says, but he was honest. And he was directly saying that something like, let's say, they're able to understand headings based on their own, let's say, insights. And he means actually this, basically, if your code structure is not aligned with your heading structure, it wouldn't be that much helpful. In my layout optimization, I usually have three things: component order, component size, component layout. Basically, what will be the biggest thing on the page, and what will be the first thing on the page, and how it will be centered. If it is at the center, if it is big enough, and if it is, let's say, coming first, then it is basically, it just represents your page's purpose. Usually I have I start with 46 pixel for the H1, then I decrease it like 6 until to the H6 basically. And for the regular text, usually I use like something like 16 or 17 font. And then I usually use local fonts to fasten the
You use big ass font sizes. You catering for like blind people there.
But this is for desktop. For mobile, it will be changing. And usually, most of the time, I'm trying to make the H1 as the largest contentful paint, so that actually my crux can be better. Plus, also LCP, in my opinion, is representation of centerpiece annotation that I explained in my speech. If the LCP is the centerpiece annotation, it means that actually I'm able to give the relevance and main topic and main subject as the first, as the biggest, and as the fastest directly. I am trying to use that advantage there.
And I guess fixing this hierarchy model so it follows the same intent as your heading structure is just less cost for the search engine, right?
If they directly get it in the first place. But if you, let's say your LCP is like, let's say 6 paragraph, and it's like not even in the above the fold area, then they will need to run extra algorithms to understand you. So I'm trying to keep it simple for them.
Excellent. This question's quite a good one, I think, and it'll be interesting to see your answers to it. I know we've chatted on this one quite a bit. So how do you evaluate? So let's say you're doing a content audit or a site audit. How do you evaluate what URLs you should remove? And then also, what do you actually do with them? 301, 410, just 404 them?
In Chiang Mai SEO speech, since it was so fast, I explained at some point, without doing log file analysis, I don't do content pruning. In the log files, you can see that there is a URL it might not take any traffic, but there is a section there, referrer. Google sometimes find and crawl other URLs by choosing one referrer URL. And if that referrer URL, if you can fix it properly by refreshing the content on that, you can actually increase the quality assignment on that. So even if they don't have any traffic or page rank or whatever, I keep these referrers first so that actually I fix them. Google comes them very much more frequent, and they go other pages in a more frequent way from there. So the quality of this page will be affecting the next one's assignment based on predictive information retrieval. So log file is one of them in that area. The other one is, of course, the page rank. If they have links from past, if they have social engagement, social shares on them, again, I keep them as well. But if a URL is not crawled for a really long time, if it doesn't have any type of impressions, or even if it doesn't have any continuous ranking, sometimes you can see in the search console, the average position is coming.
Then going, and then coming and going, yeah.
This is just like trying to survive there. You can directly just merge them with a new structure, and you can decrease the size of your website so that page rank per page can be increased, and priority and importance scores can be increased as well.
And then with that, are you then 301 reader? Say you had a page that was doing that, where it's visible one day, and then it might be weeks where it's no longer in the rankings, then it's visible again in Search Console. Are you then merging that content into like the higher piece, and then 301 in that through?
Most of the time I use 301. The reason for that is Google doesn't forget. They keep crawling it like for the next 3 years. And I don't want them to keep stalling there. I just want them to reset the crawl queue, reset the crawl path, create a new crawl path with the new crawl structure for my new structure on the site. That's why usually I just redirect it. Another thing is that if you can test this, by the way, take a URL, okay? Take another one, be sure that they are not relevant to each other. Redirect this one to this. You will see that this URL starts ranking for the queries of this page.
Yeah, I've seen that before, yeah.
So that surviving URL there, the non-quality one, can have some historical data from like 2 years ago or 3 years ago with some queries. I am trying to reflect these historical data to the new version as well. Maybe the current state is very bad, but in the past, that URL might be having some value.
Would you say when you do the 301s, the historical data is also passing through? Is that the concept behind it? Yeah.
All the user engagements, all the queries that URL actually ranked before, all of them will be merged with the new version.
Koray, this year, we did it cross-domain level. So when we was doing link building, we was going to wanted to do link building because we wanted our website to rank for a specific term. But instead of going out and trying to get links from pages that are ranking for it, we just reached out to the one that was ranking in position number 1 and said, how much would it be for us to buy your page and 301 it through to our site? And we basically took their content, they deleted it and 301'd it, and literally the next day we got all their rankings. And that was a cross-domain one.
It will work. The thing is, there is a black hat method that we call canonical confusion attack. And I did it actually in 2019 against one of my main competitors. It was my first public case study, hangicredit.com. And my IP was blocked by the competitor, by the way, since I was doing DDoS and other stuff as well. And in this case, basically, what I was doing is creating maybe 30 different versions of the competitor URL from authoritative domains, by the way, like Medium, Quora, or other type of places. But all these different versions just link me. Plus, all these different versions, 95% is same with them, but 5% is different. But always different part is different, basically.
Yeah.
It's not to confuse, actually, Google, which one is the original source here. All the authoritative domains just link this, but this one was the first.
Is that called link inversion? Is that what it's called? Link inversion. Where because some people have spoken about that before. If you've got a really high authoritative domain, you can copy someone's content and send links through to it, and they end up putting you as being the original source, even though you wasn't the original source.
Yes, the thing is that actually it's a misconception too. Google doesn't rank original source. They don't care about that. They just rank the most authoritative and most popular one, actually.
Yeah.
So in this case, you can definitely rank. I even have written a script once, actually. Imagine that there is a script. Whenever their sitemap is updated, we just automatically copy content and publish automatically and submit it to Search Console. Basically, you are the first publisher in the eyes of Google in this case as well. So you can kill some websites by playing with these things. Usually we call it canonical confusion. Basically, there are some middlemen between you and them, and all of them link you. And always some portion is basically different, and all of them are authoritative too. So it's actually how social networks work too. You know, the PageRank is actually used for analyzing terrorist organizations too. They try to see who is connected who. It also works for websites too. Which page is connected, which page, which domain is connected, which domain. So when 30 domains link you with this highly similar content, algorithm after a point thinks that you are the original source, not them. So it's not something that Google also, let's say, prevent that much, unfortunately. And in the news industry, it happens all the time. I mean, most of the time in the newsroom, they just copy their content by rewriting a few stuff, and they get the top stories because they are more popular.
Yeah.
So, and the next question is, do you think sentence length should be optimized as well, and to what extent?
Yeah. In my Holistic SEO Digital, I have a case study for that actually. For example, you don't have to optimize it like one by one. Just go to the MySQL, get all of your content from your MySQL, and you can actually, for example, just do this, please. Remove the word also from Oxford Dictionary. It's the most useless word I have ever heard. Also, no need for that. I mean, while talking maybe, but not for reading or for ranking. So you can actually choose some contextless words. Then you can tell MySQL with a Python script, just replace these words with space. You will make every sentence shorter, and every word will be more relevant to your topic directly. So by being connected to your database, take your content and you can optimize the sentence length as well. The thing is, again, in that health SEO case study, I did a work, and you know that I just basically created this cost of retrieval concept and added to the formula of topical authority. It's not about how quality you are, it's about how costly you are. So the sentence length basically keeps stalling the Google's computational resources. And if you have more tokens, it will be more costlier basically. And yes, if you can try to optimize it, shorter sentences will be way easier to
Would you say splitting that out, so not just shorter sentences but shorter paragraphs as well, so like p tags in the HTML code, or is it just all stops in?
It's also true. There is just one thing in NLP. There is something that they call nested statements. And according to your main context, you can use some nested statements like Nancy loves smoking and, let's say, drinking. You don't have to use two sentences here. Nancy loves smoking, Nancy loves drinking. So you can nest these, but as long as it is in the same context and shorter, it's definitely helpful. I mean, Google, you check the actual language model Pegasus from Google. Its only job is summarization. And usually they remove any unnecessary thing from the content. If you check that LLM, it will be helpful.
I guess with that in mind, it's also then reducing the DOM elements, right? So it's reducing DOM, so then again, it's...
Especially, again, from Chiang Mai SEO speech, Centerpiece annotation. I have shown two examples from their DOG leak files. In one of them, Pinterest share button, Facebook share button, they were in the centerpiece. In another one, it wasn't, because the second one has a better HTML structure there. Use less element as much as possible. For my KPI, 800 DOM element is good enough, especially for top of the page, way less, if possible.
How do you know where the centerpiece of a page is? Obviously, I know you can guess. It'd probably be where the H1 is, but the what?
I have an SOP for semantic HTML usage, and most of the time what I do is, first of all, your boilerplate should be very plain, so that boilerplate header footer, they can be just, it shouldn't stall the renderer or search engine at all. When it comes to your main content, usually I start with the specific HTML tag with main, basically body. Under the body, I have only 3 tags, basically just header, main, footer. Under the main, I have a section that I call header. Usually that header, I'm trying to make it very, let's say, it says record, but I guess you hear me.
Yeah, it's quite fine, yeah.
So basically under the header, I just put the H1, then actually, again, the specific context paragraph, what I call, then engagement component, whether calculator, whether apply button or whatever you are selling there. And then if I need to end it, basically under that, I put a section. So that's a kind of borderline directly with that. I'm trying to communicate in that way. But usually from Google's point of view, it should be representing your purpose. Again, I am suspecting LCP is annotating or representing the centerpiece. They also say that they have different annotations too, supplementary annotation or different type of annotations. But if you handle centerpiece, you'll be handling most of the stuff for ranking.
Yeah.
So the next question is quite a good one. So let's say you plan now to launch a huge website. It's got 100,000 pages. Do you plan the 100,000 pages and publish them all in like development first without it indexing and then launch it all in one go? Or would you do core elements of it and then slowly over time launch the rest? What would you advise?
3 conditions. If I have high page rank, high popularity, I wouldn't be scared at all. I would directly go because page rank and popularity are your tolerance, basically tolerance threshold. They will tolerate you even if you fuck Google. But if you don't have page rank or popularity, if it's a brand new thing, I wouldn't go like directly, even if initially it is indexed and it is ranking, especially with Next.js. Eventually they will start to decrease your rankings really well. So that's why I will try to go with the most quality documents first. I will just build some authority first, add some page rank and brand value. Then I will start to publish part by part based on locales. It will be safer in this case.
If you were to do the huge site, let's say they've just ignored that advice and they've built 100,000 pages from launch, would you say it would be super important for them to start building links, probably like almost straight away out the box to try and help justify it?
There is actually a different way too. If it is a brand new domain, I need to tell this. It is something I use actually in every project that I am using. If the website is new, just dissolve Googlebot until the website is ready, because there is something that they do. If the website is new, first time Googlebot sees that, they run every type of algorithm on that website, including rendering everything. They just finish everything end to end. In this case, if you want to launch everything at the same time, dissolve Googlebot without showing anything to the Google, keep adding links. It makes them crazy. Because whenever you get links, but Google can't see what's going on the site, they just keep coming. And with launching there means actually not creating and publishing the site. It means opening it to Google. So you can add the links before showing the Googlebot, make them wait, then open everything at the same time. They will just floating into the everywhere in your website.
That's quite a cool strategy.
That is a cool strategy. That actually, do you know another thing where that works really well for? YouTube. So you set it as being draft and you don't publish it as being public. And then you go and do the embeds and send some links to it. And the minute it goes live, it just goes boosh, way higher than what it would do if you had previously. So, but I've never ever heard that for a website. Build the links prior to it.
I think we've just thought of something we might be testing next week.
Do you know what? I think that's the first noise bomb Koray has ever given me.
Thanks, James.
That's good.
I might just edit this part out of the video just to honest get the
Yes, I didn't say this before, and anyway, I didn't write it in my case study.
I'm just writing down 57 minutes.
First time only for you guys. You edit or remove, it's up to you.
Okay, so your whole methodology, someone's asking, can you train LLMs about the methodology and kind of build a bit of its own sort of knowledge base?
So for any type of automation, and I say this for auto-blogging AI creator as well, which you are also part of, and I respect that technology as well since it works on my methodology. The problem is that search engines are comparative ranking machines, which means they compare this to this, then they rank. If everyone automates, it means that they will again need to compare something to something by finding a difference. So it won't remove the problem away. It will just make everything more picky. Teeny tiny details will be really important. But in my opinion, you can actually, theoretically it's possible. Theoretically, you can train an LLM for creating, let's say, a topical map, or you can try to automate everything. But once your competitor also uses a similar structure too, then again, you will need to be dealing with teeny tiny details together. So in my opinion, it would be really expensive to train such a thing because there are so much nuances. But for one industry, only one industry, with certain conditions, with a limited environment, yes, you can, I believe, train that and you can make everything better, especially if you have enough level of human optimized data.
Yeah.
Because LLMs are just imitating humans. If your data is clean and humanly, LLM will be humanly too. So theoretically, in my opinion, it's possible. But also remember, I always say it, theoretically, you can also create a building for 30 kilometers length too. You just put a stone, another stone, another stone.
Yeah.
Theoretically, it's possible, but practically, there are some issues.
Just back to the previous question. Do you know when you said about creating all the pages at once, or if it's a new site and you don't have the popularity and you don't have the page rank, you then would choose the most popular or the most important kind of pages. Would you go category by category, or would you find doing all the most popular or the most important pages across different categories, or would you try to finish one category at a time before moving on to the next one?
The second one is more important because if it is popular, it will be bringing you historical data. If historical data is not positive, it will affect everything on your site overall. So I would go for popularity first. That's why in my methodology, quality notes are usually for most popular and important sections as well.
Right, okay.
Next question is about modal verbs. Should they be avoided in any language within SEO?
Modal verbs, you mean like can, would, will, modality?
So like likelihood, ability, necessity, permission.
Okay. So the thing is, in health industry, you have to use them because there are lots of legal things, especially in California. I mean, situation forces you to do that. But most of the time, if you are more certain, it's way better because Google cares about consensus. They don't care about possibilities. I mean, I can write there anything then. I mean, I can say that having a cat can cause, let's say, seeing aliens. Doesn't make sense. But basically, if the sentence is good enough, eventually it makes, from, let's say, scientific point of view, still, it's just possibility. I mean, it doesn't mean that actually it's a fact. A search engine tries to rank the facts. If they want to rank the opinions, it is usually about perspectives. But still, people give their perspectives also sometimes with a certain language. They say that, I think this is a great bicycle. They don't say that this can be a great bicycle. Now, you can sell anything with that language as well. So try to go with certainty most of the time. They wouldn't spend their time with possibilities that much, and they wouldn't be able to calculate a consensus across pages. And for consensus, I would like to say two things. There are two types of consensus. One is across domains. The other one is in that domain. Imagine that in a single page, you are giving contradicting information. And imagine that in different pages, you are giving contradicting information. Check GitHub, download the GPT crawl your entire site with GPT crawl, create an agent with that output because it will give you a JSON output. Go to ChatGPT and ask that, based on this crawl data, can you tell me which page is contradicting with which one? And they will tell you that on that page, you say that best glasses frame for a teenager is this, but in this page, you say the opposite, for instance. They will give you all this contradicting information. You can fix it. A website always has an information graphic. In that information graphic, everything should be aligned. And if you're authoritative enough, that's the most important part. If you are the topical authority, you define what is what. You define what means what. It also means that you can affect other competitors' ranking this way because consensus basically is you in this case. Google takes the data from you. So basically that ability sentences, modalities, they are not that much perfect way of going. One thing is if the question queries, basically if a keyword has direct question like can I run faster even if I am blah 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 blah. In this, if the question query has a modality, give your answer by matching that modality directly. But besides that, try to go with certainty as much as possible. Shoot.
What are you doing, Koray, with audio transcriptions?
So based on some of the patterns, they actually state that the context can be defined in some different ways. Context always is not about the text. It's sometimes also about the format of the content. That's why giving the option to the user actually to read, to listen, or to also, let's say, download, or to, let's say, leave a note or leave a, let's say, point or whatever you want to create an engagement there. It's one of the helpful points actually for increasing the engagement, because one thing that Google is doing basically is query processing. When they process a query, they add predicates like read, buy, or listen, or compare, whatever. If you don't have the listen component there, it will slightly be, let's say, disadvantage. But if you have that listen satisfaction with a certain type of file format, it's also helpful too. I suggest people to have that part. Also, you can use a structured data called speakable. You can directly actually tell Googlebot which section can be read aloud. And there is also a special Google user agent just for reading content loudly by using Chrome. You can also do it built in Chrome with structured data, or you can also add the audio there to increase the engagement, definitely.
Awesome. The next question is kind of about, let's say you've went through your content, you've cleaned it up, and you've went from 1 million pages that Google didn't index down to 10,000 pages. How long do you typically wait to see how Google is responding, and then how do you check if they are responding?
There are two components there. First of all, if your website is too bloated, there is one thing that you will always see: they don't get your internal links properly. Because sometimes you will see that they say, this is a URL that they find based on a referring page here, but referring page is deleted 4 years ago. Because if your website is too big, they don't have enough resources to process internal links, anchors, or the content, and they keep actually old website structure. If your website has this bloating for a really long time, it might take longer time for them, but still, it's a, let's say, drastic change. In this case, I would say that actually in 2 weeks, they will definitely react in such a drastic change. But if you drop, let's say, gradually, it will take slightly longer time, because basically they still believe that some of these old pages keep existing. Basically between two weeks until to, let's say, 5 weeks, you can see definitely some sudden changes. If your website in indexing tier 1, popular high page rank, you can see difference maybe even in 4 days.
Would you say with that, is it probably better that they also create, say, new subfolders and then redirect to those new ones, as opposed to just condensing down 1 million to 10,000?
Yep, because basically you take all the old ones, give it to the new section, and attention goes there as well. It will be very easier to actually make search engine to understand new structure in a faster way as well. So don't leave them like 404. If you want to see a faulty CMS, migration checks course and stats.com. It belongs to my friend actually, and I told them to just one thing, do not leave anything behind. And I even have a motto: no man behind left. And yeah, basically take all the resources, all the fonts, all the CSS, and all the URLs, and move it to the new version. And they left like 400,000 404s. They were 200 before. Basically 99% of the website is gone in 1 day. And of course, it affected website very negatively. Check the Ahrefs stats, you will get what I mean.
No, it's good to know. What would you say, following on from that then, what would you say is the most important crawl stats to try to improve?
Definitely HTML. In my log file analysis, maybe I can publish that Collab usually. I use a Collab from Google to run that basically internally. But the thing is, I have something I call CSS to HTML, JS to HTML, font to HTML crawl ratio. Usually I try to make HTML crawl hits 99% status-wise, 3 or 4, and 200 should be 99 in total. If 3 or 4 is higher, it's better. It means they are getting things from cache. And for the resource-wise, one more time, CSS and JS and the fonts, they should be under 1% as much as possible. There is no need to show the Google to the JSONs or these other file types. And status for another response response time, it should be under 100 milliseconds as much as possible. And if you have, let's say, also you should compare or proportion the bytes to the total unique HTML URL. If the average size is too much for per HTML, again, it will be making things harder for search engine. It means you have some, let's say, complicated DOM or other type of structures there. But basically, if you decrease the bytes, if you decrease the response time, and if you increase the HTML prominence in that budget. If all of them are 200 and all of them are quality URLs, it will be really helpful. Last one is fresh discovery. It should be over 20%, whether you publish something new, whether you update existing, keep it over 20 as much as possible.
So would you say with the JavaScript side, you're better off maybe just restricting it in like robots.txt so it can't crawl them files, so it reduces it from your crawl budget? And then with the CSS, are you better off merging it all into one CSS file?
I have a CSS hierarchy in my website, like I usually use just 4 CSS in entire site. One is header footer because it's site-wide. One is homepage main content. One is
and page. Yeah.
Yes. So page level, I request only the necessary one. It helps them to actually have maybe 5 CSS at top for entire thing. And for JS, I try to use JS only if user actually engage with something. Basically, if they click something, then actually run this JS. You don't even have to actually call it at the beginning. You can call them once they start to engage, for instance. That's also one of the advantages there. And still you can give it to the search engine. They will understand because they are able to check event listeners on a page to understand engagement points.
But so is that like an on-click event type thing, the JS stuff? Yeah.
Yes, and basically you can call them when it is necessary. You don't have to call all of it. And if you use dynamic rendering, and if you have 2-minute trackers for conversion rate optimization like Hotjar or etc., you can actually show them on the user side. But for Googlebot, you can show a very clean and lean version. Dynamic rendering using basically serving different response or according to the user agent, it will be really helpful in that case as well.
Great. The next question is, you mentioned traffic and links equates to rank merge. Is rank merge something that's new?
No, it's not new. The thing is, it is about understanding actually which website getting, let's say, genuine traffic or genuine links. Because imagine that everywhere links you, nobody mentions. Or everyone mentions you, nobody links. Or everyone mentions, everyone links, but nobody visits. So there is something unnatural there. It's like actually, imagine that you're a politician, you make millions, but you are not able to explain the income source. So it's similar structure there too. You should justify the links with popularity and popularity with the links. So it's not new, but the configuration gets always harder.
So this is why when me and Dooley mentioned this quite often, you want to be building your brand mentions. A brand mention doesn't necessarily need to link to your website. It just needs to mention the brand entity. And then that in itself, Google's reading the document and seeing it as a mention and then connecting the dots, right?
Yep, definitely.
That's also a really, really good method for answer engine optimization. Getting in those LLMs to get GPT search and stuff like that. If you can get your brand mentioned in listicles, you're getting in there quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. So the next question is, what is popularity and popularity of entity? What is the best metric to measure popularity? And is it the popularity of queries, entities, and documents within our website, search results, or within the search demand?
I have actually 2 concepts there. One is query statistics. The other one is a document statistics. If documents are mentioning you, it means you are popular. If queries are mentioning you, you are again popular. Maybe there is one more, which is about actually, even if nobody mentions you, like queries don't mention you, documents don't mention you, but there is a referral traffic that comes to you from actually other entities from the same type. Let's say you're a time tracker and they mention all the competitors and they also add you. But you're also getting some referral traffic sometimes, or you are being searched together with them. You are slightly, let's say, your logo is appearing together with them. That co-appearance or co-occurrence would also associate you with the authority entities, but usually it's about, being existing in the links, the queries, and the documents, and the images as well. And the last metric there will be social media, of course. If you have your own hashtags, if you have your own, let's say, focused tweets, whether criticism, whether positive as well, if you have these existence in social media platforms too, of course, it would also signal popularity as well. And of course, these things should create genuine now boost signals, which means they should come to your site and they shouldn't just go back or somewhere. They should just create some engagement on your site by going your subdomain that start with dash, that, etc., or app, that, etc. And they should keep coming by returning as well.
That's good. You mentioned links from similar time zones work in some of your talks. So, for instance, Indonesia to Australia, because it's the same time zone. Should it be the same language too? Would that help even more?
It definitely helps more, but the thing is, normally we were using, let's say, fish restaurants from Norway to link some websites from UK. It was working, then it stopped working. Then we created a Norwegian version, linked there. From there, we reflected with hreflang, and it worked better. So that's why we try to match the language along with the region as well.
How can someone identify what kind of long or short clicks, long or short session visits are the right ones for the website?
Again, this is about click satisfaction or click models and click probability. So when you have a long session, it doesn't mean always actually satisfaction. In my speech, I explained engagement trap. Imagine they come to your homepage, they go to the category page, they go, let's say URL, then they come back to homepage and start again, and then again, then again. Actually, it means that user is not able to find what they are looking for. I call it engagement trap. So actually engaging more is not always better. As well. Google knows that actually which industry, which topic should be ending when, in what type of session behavior. So in my speech, I have given the example of the currency converter. If for currency conversion, they say 5 seconds. Technically, it is a short click, but it's better in this case. So based on your user engagement or user purposes, you should be able to understand actually what is the optimum average length of the session and in what way, in what page it should be ending. If you're able to calculate it, you can try to increase the engagement on that level. But keeping user always in your site doesn't mean everything goes better in this case.
Once we optimize a page for visual responsiveness, how soon do we expect to see an impact in the rankings? Is it always 13 months as like the nav boost data updates, or can it be quicker?
It doesn't always have to take like 13 months, but the thing is, if that specific responsiveness or information retrieval means relevance, information responsiveness means engagement or action. You can be relevant to the currency conversion by explaining how to do it, but if you don't have a converter, you are not responding the query need. So in this case, if you have that specific converter, let's say, and if the users are able to leave some engagement on you, you would of course get some type of increase there, but there is one more thing. So let's look at the concept of USD, dollar. There are some predicates that we can bring there, right? Send USD, convert USD, calculate USD, invest in USD, USD technical analysis, USD indicators, blah, blah, blah. Today, for instance, Wise or XE or Revolut, they rank for this. The old version of the converters, they are not ranking anymore. Because all these websites are able to do more. This is also related to your audio question. If you're able to bring more predicates to your website for that specific entity, you will be ranking higher as well. If you have that responsiveness only one thing, but other parts, if you are not responsive enough, again, you will be outranked in this case. If you have more all of the specific components in your site with engagement metrics, then you will even actually be re-ranked in the first core update in a really good way, I can tell. Because it's not just about the clicks. Google already has all these models. And if they see that you are able to provide these functions with these predicates, and for these queries, for these entities, they will directly start testing you already. In every core update, if you have a data, check this. You will always see like between 3 to 7% new websites starts to rank. There is always this test quota. They always bring sometimes new websites to the SERP while sending some old ones to the behind.
Is that because, I guess, from Google's point of view, if your website's ticking more boxes, then these say it ticks these feature, this feature, this feature, this feature, as opposed to them having to index 5 different websites when they can have you provide all of that data, it makes sense, right?
Yep, and also there is a bias there too, because users, if they invest their money in your site, they will of course stay in your site as well, and it will also make every signal again stronger one more time too. So the users, if there's a user cluster, and most of the time if they go these, the other one will be really hard to convince the Google to rank for. You have one function, they have 5. Yeah. And again, it's same way with the social relations as well. I mean, Basically, if you have, let's say, one person who can do all for you, you will actually love that person way much more than, let's say, one thing at a time, to be honest.
Yeah. And the next question's about user-generated content. And can you elaborate how perspectives with UGC forums are used externally? And is the content created on those forums or perspectives from those platforms taken and added to the web pages?
So the thing is, most of the time, I have some SOPs for Reddit, Quora, and other type of platforms. I get their queries from Ahrefs, SEMrush, or wherever you are using, basically, for my topic. Then I take their URLs, I open some accounts, then I start answering these questions on that website. And then also, I am using certain type of GPTs to summarize, let's say, the perspectives or the facts on these pages, and reflect it also in my web page as well. But when I reflect this perspective, I don't mention the users from Reddit or anyone. I just actually reflect that specific fact for that specific angle as much as possible.
Let's say we are a question that they've asked type thing. It's just trying to connect the dots that way. Is that right?
Yeah. For example, the other day we were checking. I'm working with a safari company, for instance. There was a question in Quora. Can you see the white lions in South Africa? Yeah, you can actually see the white lions in South Africa, but which national park, for instance, and why that national park? And what are the other alternatives for seeing the white lions in this case? And from there, actually, for big families, for couples with children, or for teachers, for etc., you can add some different perspectives according to the users or audience, and you can reflect it on your site. On the specific section, you can also add your company there and link yourself. I'll call this in my speech like validate externally and amplify internally, which means that you just add it to your page, amplify it further, but validate yourself externally from these forums as well.
Yeah. So the next couple of questions are moving more into, I think, the topical authority course, the holistic SEO approach, and all of that. So they're a bit more technical on that side. So how do you choose the bridge topics between macro and micro sections within your content?
So from easy point of view, if you have a stop word in the query, like and versus, it's very easy. Basically, according to the popularity, sometimes you will be opening two different pages for both of them. Like, for example, X definition, Y definition, X versus Y. X versus Y will be connecting them. But let's say Y is not popular at all. In this case, X versus Y will be a subsection in the previous page. This works with the stop words easily. When it comes to the how-to questions, let's say I usually say how to run faster, we can give a kind of instructional and suggestional document on that area. And if it is a sports website, that run will be turned into the swim, or it will be turned into the cycle. It will turn into something else in the sports context, for instance. And again, you can link from how to, because in this case, how to is not a topic, it's a query template. From that query template, as long as you're in the sports, you can keep connecting these things. And in this case, if it's an athletic site, you can talk about, of course, how to choose your athletic branch and that specific choose section. But again, I am in the how to and athleticism. I just say choose this time. A different predicate can connect all of them to each other. If it is let's say, usually I also say it in the Chiang Mai, the type is a root and most important attribute for any topic. And if I am ranking for types of eye problem, types of skin problem, types of acne, types of etc., the type there will be the root. And according to the popularity, if type is too popular, it will be a separate page. If it is not that popular, it will be in the root. Yeah. And every type, according to popularity, will be a different page as well. And if it is a problem, we will, of course, be also linking for the medicines for that, or diet for that, food for that, etc. For certain type of patterns, Google already says in their patterns how they can actually connect these things. For example, symptoms and treatments has to be in the same page. It's directly in the pattern, it's directly in the SERP as well. But for some others, you will need to also calculate your page rank. If your page rank is high, you can cover more topic in a single page. If your page rank is lower, you will need to open more pages with specific pinpoints to be able to rank. Later, you can merge them. So your conditions also affect that. And I suggest you to check this popularity query template and also the popularity of the specific subject. if the popularity is able to be understood, because search engine creates these indexes or indices based on them. In my actual Holistic SEO meetup in Chiang Mai, I explained this already. Like query has similarity, query has popularity, entities are similar, or etc. If it is an important entity, you will need to open more pages. If it is not, you will need to merge as much as possible. And predicates are also important too, I can tell. If you have the same entity in different pages, predicate has to be different one. If that predicate deserves that specific, let's say, page based on user behaviors, you can observe that. You can open that too. Maybe one more thing, document page rank. If document cluster is big, Google will actually form a new index. If these documents have high page rank, again, you will need to open a new page too. Sometimes, especially in personal loan niche, we see that. In Sweden, for instance, personal loan and also personal loan repayment plan or etc., they actually mean nearly the same thing sometimes. But again, they have to be different pages because both versions have too many documents. Both versions have high page rank. You have to also open new pages too. For some competitive niches, you can also have these situations too. So it's a little bit manual process as well.
Just one on that. In there, you mentioned that if it's got high page rank, right, then you can put more on one big page. And when you've got low page rank, you need to open up more documents. I would have thought it's the other way around, like with regards to if you've got low page rank, you don't want to open up too many documents because you've got a low page rank. Or is it because you're directly answering the question by opening up the new documents?
But when I say more pages, I don't mean like opening a new page for every question. But you are right. You are basically decreasing your page rank per page even further, and you make your website bigger, which is also a disadvantage. When I say more pages, for instance, let's say we talk about plastic injection molding in this case. And for every type of material there, you will need to be opening a new page. And also for machinery or some other, let's say, types for that, you will open a new page as well. But still, these are important attributes too. They are popular topics as well, and they deserve a new page. But if you have enough level of page rank, you can also cover all of them one. So this is actually for, let's say, a section that it is okay to open a new page too already, and you can prefer to have multiple pages. But I don't mean something like open a new page for every small query, like all the time. It's like if it is already deserving a new page, prefer to open a new page. If it doesn't deserve it, don't open it anyway in any time as well.
Yeah.
I guess with that concept as well, you can just add it as a micro section of the main page, and then if it starts to pick up queries and you're seeing in the impressions, you can always then move it out to the.
Actually, but Koray just said the opposite way around. Open up the new page, and as you got more page rank, then you can merge them together. He said the opposite to what we would normally do.
Later, you can actually merge them. If you give me a query, I can explain maybe in a more practical way. But let's say we open a website about botanics, okay? And we just open, let's say, definition of botanics and types of plants, types of trees, etc. It goes like that. Usually, if you're able to cover more subjects in the same page, it will be increasing the value of the page and page rank per page, which is better. But if you don't have enough level of page rank, initially, for instance, you won't be able to rank for something like how to raise corn. It will be harder for you for the corn, let's say, related website. In this case, you can try to choose a different variation of that to gather some historical data earlier. Let's say how to harvest corn, and from there you can go for harvesting machines or machinery or whatever.
Yeah.
So normally you can include, I didn't check the queries, but let's say normally you can include the harvesting and raising in the same page. It will be better. But if you don't have enough level of page rank or authority, you will need to be closer to the query for relevance.
Yeah.
Initially, you can open it because it still deserves a new page.
Yeah.
Still, you can open that. It makes sense.
But if you have page rank, you don't need to necessarily open the page. You can have it as a micro.
Yeah. In this case, the purpose is actually gathering historical data, and later you can also merge them too.
Yeah.
Getting more, let's say, impressions earlier possible.
Would you say from that you probably are better off later merging it into the main topic once you've got the page rank and things, or would you just leave it?
I will merge them, because this way you will be increasing the value per page and page rank as well. And it will be already ranking for more features in page
And
more
decreasing cost to the search engine,
But
etc. Yeah.
definitely. But
Yeah,
initially,
go
if
on.
you're brand new and if the query is still important, I mean, if it still has page search demand, you can open a new page for raise and harvest together, and you can internally link each other. And once you get enough level of authority, you can then merge them in this case. That's
Yeah,
what I don't mean something like also open a new page for, let's say, I don't know, very similar thing to the harvest as well, or very similar thing to the raise too. You try to
yeah.
merge and be economical.
But that Carl is the opposite to what, because we normally say put it in the micro content. If it gets some search, all right, then we'll split off and create a page. Koray's saying as long as it's got a different intent, open up the new page and then merge it.
I agree, but what he's also saying is that depends on we're doing it on existing websites that already have page rank. He's saying if it's a new website that doesn't have page rank, then create the new pages.
Be
Yeah,
closer to
that's what I'm on about. Yeah,
if you are closer to query, you will get faster impressions and
Yeah.
earlier features in the past. It will help you to actually take the attention of the search engine
yeah,
earlier. And later stages, you can restructure it as you wish as well. Because if you have page rank, I mean, you can rank sometimes blank pages too. It's
So
like
the next question's actually for the true semantic king, because we're fed up of listening to his VA. We need to hear from the true semantic king on this. So Dooley, on an on-page level, how do you choose the heading topic for the bridge between micro and macro context without breaking the contextual factor?
Koray touched upon that before with the stop word, so I'll let Koray continue with it.
He answered it beautifully before, didn't he? So just let him continue.
yeah. But the thing is that when you have a kind of, let's say, transition, for example, other day I was creating something for RV warranty or outdoor warranty, basically. So you have, for example, RV warranty and RV insurance. They are two different things from each other, but users don't know it. That's why they search them together all the time. And it makes harder for you to create a topical map because topic-wise they are different. But in the map, they will need to be covered together and very close because they are being searched together, and semantic distance because of them is less. That's why I say query semantics are different than dictionary level of what we think.
So from that, Koray, for you to work out that they're being searched together, are you checking the search response and noticing similar pieces of content coming up, or cross references of the different words?
The or index similarity is one of the factors there, definitely. But the problem is that since users don't know what they are searching for, documents mention them together as well already. So that even confuses search engine more too. And it also forces us to actually make the macro and micro context there more blurry, because we still mention the insurance at the top, for instance, and at the bottom as well. But we try to adjust our distributional semantics a little bit, which means that we mention the warranty at the top more and warranty at the bottom less. And based on that, we also adjust our internal links. And since the 5 years, I say the same thing. Usually in the macro context, in my heading, I use my anchor text, and the same anchor text also appears at the title tag of the next document. So it creates a clear path for them. Rank this document for this query, rank this document for this query, like explaining in a very simple way to the search engine. And if I need to create, let's say, this link from my H1 to this bottom section, there should be a flowing relevance properly. So it should make sense. Before I mention that, I need to also justify their similarity or alternativeness to each other too. It's actually quite fun. It's like a brain game to create a kind of path in your way. And sometimes there are some easy ways to do that actually. Like you can use some, let's say, general predicates like how X affects Z or how X actually differentiates from Z. You will need to also adjust their relationship. If they are alternative to each other, you should ask differentiate. If they are like if they have a cause impact relationship, then you should say affect, for instance. But choosing the relationship type between them correctly is also important.
So when you're choosing the bridge between micro and macro, the reality is it probably doesn't matter where that bridge is. You just have to make sure you're tying it in properly to the next sections? Or would you say there's
For
a
example,
way of identifying the bridge like heading?
I try to sometimes, to transition the context slightly, you need some smoothing headings at the middle ground a little bit. It means that actually co-occurrence here is higher. At the top, they don't co-appear together that much, but at the middle, they start to co-appear. At the bottom, the second one starts to appear more, and we link, and the second page is only about it. And then we reverse this distribution. This time, if we talk about, let's say, RV warranty, it doesn't appear at the top that much. It slightly appears at the middle. At the bottom, it appears more, and it will link back. So your distributional order there also reverse each other to let's say support each other in that specific subject as well.
Is that what you were going to say, Dooley?
That's exactly what I was going to say, mate. Yeah.
Getting sure.
I guess.
You're not making anything out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the last question in the list, which we haven't mentioned, we've mentioned probably more than most podcasts that I've ever seen you on before, is it's about links, and it is, what would your link building strategy be in terms of types of links, anchors, velocity, if the website is in decline or respectively growing?
It's a nice question, but I suggest you actually check a project. I'm active on that over 1.5 years. We came to do 1.5 million clicks amount from like 60,000 clicks amount in 15 months. But it is transcriptor.com, an AI project and a SaaS. The main thing there is, I use the term natural relevance in this podcast already and in my speech as well. If you check most of my case studies, they are partial match domains or exact match domains most of the time. And even if they are not, if they don't have both of these, usually they have a definitional or conceptual relationship eventually as well. So it helps me to rank my homepage, which very earlier, which is the easiest page to rank since it has high page rank. It also justifies my exact match anchor text as well, because transcriptor.com has lots of links from the transcription, transcriptor, transcripting, all the lematizations directly, because it justifies from the brand name, we justify it, and engagement also protects there as well. But the thing is, if your website is already hit, I suggest you to check this. For example, I guess the forexbrokers.com is in that situation right now. They were losing rankings when I checked the last time. If you check their rankings, it goes down. But if you check their referring domains, it goes up, which means that it's not about external factors. It's not about their popularity. It's not about whether they are being linked or not. It means that actually something else is going wrong, and usually it is about the internal factors. But in my strategy, if the internal factors are aligned or good enough, I am very, let's say, confident about external factors, because one link will be affecting me like 10 different links for my competitor, because all the internal factors are already aligned as it should be. So in my system, usually for homepage, since I have a natural relevance, I go with the brand name. For sub pages, sometimes I go with brand name plus topic name directly. And for some other parts in the website, let's say, I try to add the attributes. And internally, I try to not use an anchor text more than 3 times. I change it with lemmatization or word order. Externally, that number is around 2, unless it is an exact match domain. For exact match domain, I use directly matching anchor text for the homepage because it justifies the relevance with my engagement. For the sub pages, usually I try to change the word order. I try to change the context around the link, for instance. I call this correlated links, which means I also link sometimes indirect competitors, which means, let's say I link myself, but before myself, I link Wikipedia. It associates me in the link graph with somewhere authoritative, and I'm also being linked from that Wikipedia page already. So I'm also linking somewhere else, but the somewhere else also links me. Or I link somewhere that links my competitor, but that somewhere links me more and more fresh than my competitor. So when I look at the link graph, the purpose usually is going to the center in the link graph. And in this case, if you are able to actually turn most of the connections to yourself from more authoritative and relevant places, you will get more page rank and topic sensitive page rank as well. That's the overall purpose there, by justifying the anchors or being linked from to.
So you mentioned something there on the EMD side. So I've got a little question for you. So on the EMDs and external links coming in, let's say your brand was best SEOs. Let's just say, the best SEOs or whatever. And you've got bestseos.com. That's your website.
By the way, sorry for interrupting, but I want to say that this is a very good monetization method. Just take all the exact match domains like bestxsurgeons.com. Take all the disease names, just best, let's say, eye surgeons, best cancer, whatever.
Yeah.
Buy all of them, just call the doctors. They will pay you definitely. Now, let's
So with this question in mind, your main homepage you're building the links to, are you primarily doing, say, best SEOs, so best space SEOs, best space, bestseos.com? Do we do bestseos.com, like the variations of those, like around that exact match? Or are you just sticking with the URL?
The thing is that, let me give you three concepts. Your site name, your domain name, and your brand name. These three are not actually the same thing. And you're actually asking a question, do you link from your brand name? Do you just use for the words? And to explain one more thing here, which is called character embeddings. If you look at the transcriptor, only one letter is different. With C or with K. Yeah. Only one letter is different. So it's actually a partial match, but K and C, from character embedding point of view, they are so close, it works like exact match nearly. And in this case, if the query is with space, I would link with the space, and I would make my brand name also with space as well. I will directly match with the query format as much as possible, including lowercase or uppercase as well. Mm-hmm. For SEO, I would write it with the uppercase too, because even they are not same in character level. Character embedding means that every character, upper or lower C, they are not encoded or embedded in the same way. I match everything with the query there, with my brand name, with my Google business profile, with my organization structured data, with my About Us page, with my mentions. I will try to change the meaning of the query. I call this like query bending. Best SEOs earlier, for instance, it would mean just best SEOs, but now it means your brand. I will try to bend that meaning of that query so that I can justify my own ranking for that query.
So would you necessarily mind as much if external links you were building had the variations, or not really, as long as...
I wouldn't have the variation. It's my brand name. Since it's my brand name, I will directly link from my brand name as is. It will be actually justifying it more. If I use directly let's say, even SEMrush had a problem earlier because they want the rush to be written with the capital case, but their knowledge panel was writing it with the lowercase. And they were able to fix it by talking to the actual Google. But it is happening because most of the anchor text with lowercase or with spaces, and Google doesn't get it. For my brand name, I can go with the exact match directly. And if the homepage is engaging enough, performing that purpose, it will justify my anchors in that case as well. Taking a link from your brand name is completely okay. Even hangikredi.com, first case study, it was same too. I was using it heavily. Hangi kredi in Turkish means which credit, basically. And whenever someone mentions the phrase which with the credit, it's just me, even if they sometimes have space between them or different sections. So I use it heavily. For instance, I suggest you this. Just take this, okay? Casino.com, gambling.com, let me just remember. Casino.com, casino.org, gambling.com. Take these three websites queries, put them side by side in a Google Sheet. I call this relevance heat map. Then just press Ctrl F and search for casino. You will see that gambling.com doesn't rank for the casino phrases as much as the other two exact match domain. And if you look at for, let's say, their rankings for slot games, you will see that again the casino.com is ranking better compared to the gambling one, because the phrase casino is relevance-wise closer to the slot. Basically, slot game and casino game are nearly the same. Most of the casino games are slots. And there is a query semantic-wise closeness and association there, and your brand name affects that. If you look at their anchors, they are directly like linking from casino, or direct sections. And also when you mean casino games in the query, it's still not clear. Do you mean the games from casino.com, or do you mean any type of casino game? the phrase has two entities inside it. One of them is brand, the other one is the topic, basically.
Yeah. So on that, just for clearance, on let's say which credit, right? Which and credit, 2 words. If I wanted as my business name for that to be a capital W and a capital C for which credit, would you only ever use that anchor text, which credit? Would you never put the 2 words together for any anchor text that's linking through to your site as being like which credit together?
I'm actually using it, but with a space, like in a regular sentence, which credit. With
Yeah.
the purpose for me there is basically whenever someone asks a synonym of this question, I still want to be actually relevant there. And based on the lexical relations, the phrase credit will be replaced with some other financial product sometimes. And I will be creating natural relevance with all of them thanks to the phrase which in this case.
Yeah.
And I can also link my sub pages like, not like just which credit, but which loan, for instance, or which loan interest, which credit card, etc. I can just replicate it even further too. Again, it will actually justify my relevance there.
Yeah. What about if it was an exact match? So which credit is thing? What if it was an exact match? Like, let's say you had the website Best Casino Games, and you wanted that to be the brand. Would you always do the spaces Best Casino Games, or because it's an exact match, then you'd start thinking, well, I need to start making it out as if to start with it's a brand. I'm going to put the words together, or what?
If you have enough level of page rank, it will definitely work. But the thing there is, the phrase or superlative best is commercial term. Usually with the EMDs, if there is a commercial term inside and CPC is very high, Google becomes, let's say, less tolerant, or there will be a higher threshold there. But if your homepage is able to justify its relevance, and if it is responding to query needs, and if you have enough level of page rank, you will definitely rank there eventually. They can't prevent it as well. You will just need to behave like a brand in this case. And most of the, let's say, the best gambling sites that are ranking, they are all exact match, like playusa.com or playnevada.com, playarizona.com. They are all exact match, and they all link each other with the exact anchor text. I mean, eventually it will be working. There is a threshold there. Just be patient.
It's just quite interesting because it's a complete, what you're mentioning here is, so obviously I was in casino for like 7 years, and that's a complete different strategy to what we did. So our anchor text for the homepage, we very much used like without spaces quite often, because we were EMDs primarily as well. We would often do without spaces, but we'd also mix it up with variations. So there'd be the occasional space. There might be just the URL. There might be capitalization of the different words, no capitalization of the different words.
You can also do
and
that.
we ranked really well.
I mean, it wouldn't affect you negatively anyway, but usually if there are multiple exact match domains with you that are competing with you, again, like casino.com and casino.org, in this case, you will need to have more exact anchor text in your
than them. Yeah.
And also, if you variate it, of course, it will keep you safer in this case, because technically you are protecting yourself from a manual penalty or being tracked by them.
That was always our fear of the manual, because we've seen so many manual actions over time, and it's always exact match anchors.
Yeah, and in this case, by variating it, technically you are just staying under the radar. I agree with that. But the reason that they usually give you the manual penalty is that because it works better. Basically, if you use the exact version, of course, it will be passing more page rank. But what you can do is sometimes, let's say, you can add some of the other alternative phrases that your homepage is already ranking for too. And actually, I'm launching already a project for what you mentioned, like casino games already. And my domain extension is also included in the query network as well, casino games that something. Basically, so I'm also creating relevance there. Sometimes you can also include or exclude your extension. For instance, you can also vary it in that way. If you vary it, still you increase your relevance for 20% of the queries. If you don't include it, you directly increase the relevance for the most important version. You can vary it more economically in this way, for instance.
No, that's good. Well, I think that's about the end of all questions. Now we got to the end of the list. 5 hours later.
Yeah, it's all 2 hours. Huh? Oh, I can't tell. Best podcast I believe, in my opinion, for the years I had ever. And
I think we're going to, for people watching, we'll probably start trying to do this maybe once a month. We'll get a list of questions from people like things, and then we'll get on and do a podcast once a month to help people out.
We should also continue this 2-person Dooley one, actually. Since you actually have your book, maybe you can do an interview with our new author about his book. And yeah, he's great success there. I want one signed for myself and with a lipstick.
Excellent.
Signature. You'll have it.
Right.
I'll send it you for Christmas.
Thank you, bro.
Well, it's been a pleasure, mate. Do you want to tell anyone about have you got any dates yet for Istanbul?
Probably it will be like the first 2 weeks of June, or I will be making like end of May. But for you too, I can change the dates because you are also busy with some conferences. So I would like to have you there definitely. Without you, it's
We
not
will change the dates for you, mate, to be there.
Yeah, we can choose the date together. I will call them.
First 2 weeks of June's very good for me. That works.
Yeah,
That doesn't work.
good.
The Semantic King is busy in June, so we need to.
No, June's good. Start of June's good for me.
June, yeah. I'm busy at the end of June. But...
Yeah.
Okay. I will ask you, then once you approve, I will announce it.
Perfect.
And then I'm looking forward to Kusidesi again. That was like one of the best SEO trips I've done. It was really good.
It's definitely will be happening in September. Maybe we can do it actually 2 times a year. Maybe in the future, like I always miss you. I saw you actually like maybe 3 weeks ago. I still miss you, James. It's too. I mean, that's why I'm happy today. I see you guys, and it's a good feeling to have people that you miss, but also it creates a missing feeling as well.
Where's Sherlock?
Say that again?
Where's Sherlock?
He is. Let me just show it to you. Wait a second. He is just here and sleeping. Sherlock, say hi.
No.
Look at the eyes.
Sherlock. Them eyes are so big.
Yeah, he is really big. That's why actually I'm scared of the other cat actually.
Yeah.
He's trying to hunt the other cat, and the other cat is just basically scared. Checking that, yeah. My cat is a bully.
Right. Well, it's been a pleasure, and I'll see you both again soon.
See you soon.
Cheers.